Good morning. My name is Zane Seyfried. I'm CEO of Conference Calls Unlimited, and this is my first morning cup of coffee with you. You see, and literally I might add, that this is a video blog, and it's my first video blog, and I hope it's not the last. I hope it's the start of a series of video blogs I'll create and share with you, and do it on a weekly basis, I hope. And my plans are to share every step of the way as I create this video blog series. And as you can see from the backdrop of my office and my reading my script off of my monitor in front of me, I'm clearly not looking for perfection at this stage. We'll start together and learn as we go and see how close we get to perfection on this video blog series. I have a rough idea of how I'll publicize this series using my existing blog, and that URL is zane.typepad.com. And I'll create a site at YouTube with some really clever name like Zane's Video or CCU CEO Video. Then we'll look to other online social media resources, and right now there are just too many to name. I don't want to get sidetracked in listing them all here anyway, and I don't want to get pegged into using one particular one. And I also want to turn this into a discovery process and share that with you. I also want to get this first video, rough as it is, finished and posted on YouTube and my blog. You see, this is probably the third or fourth iteration of this first video, and each iteration, it's been a learning process. So we'll share that on another video in the future. We'll also learn together how to edit the videos and add content and titles and a more professional background than my exciting beige office background in the back. I'll bring on some guests also, starting with my IT guy extraordinaire. That's Dana White. Dana edits and syndicates our customers' podcasts and is learning to do the same with our videocast service. We'll also bring on our head of sales, who's Tony Sauer. He'll talk about selling and umpiring. Tony's quite an expert in both. As head of sales, our conversion ratio has increased from mid 60% to over 85% month in and month out for the past 8 months in a row. He's also an expert on umpiring for collegiate softball. And Tony will share some stories about what a tough crowd it is, and I'm not talking about the college students. I'm talking about the parents of the players. But we'll save that for Tony. And maybe, if we're lucky, we can convince the best face of our company to appear on camera and talk about customers and service and helping make our customers happy. And those are our customer service mavens, Teresa and Cindy, and they'll talk about their work creating podcasts and starting to blog and using Net Promoter Score surveys by phone, and also with the emails we use to send our customers invoices and invoice receipts. And they'll talk about how we use Net Promoter Score to address our customer service issues and create a wonderful experience and score very high on our Net Promoter Score. That score is 90%. So we'll share some of those stories with you as well. And after that, this video blog is just like my text blog. I'll talk about whatever inspires me, motivates me, astonishes me, perplexes me, and makes me happy or not. Mondays, I usually talk about healthcare and life in rural Iowa. Tuesdays is reserved for small business concerns. Wednesdays is marketing, customer, employee evangelism, branding, and word of mouth. Thursdays is about innovation. Innovation is so important to our global competitive success. It's also critical to our success as a nation in creating jobs, because you rarely see large corporations creating jobs anymore. What you see them in the news for is laying off tens of thousands at a time. And that's because of their stage of development, and they're looking to maximize their profits with an established product and service. Established products and services don't create jobs. New products, new services, niche markets, niche products and services, innovation, that's the source of job creation here in the U.S. So we want to talk about that on Thursdays. Fridays we reserve for failure. You see, Fridays we celebrate failures because a lot of people forget that failure is a critical component to your inevitable success. People forget that At every step of the way, there's going to be a failure before you achieve your success with an innovative new product, or as an athlete, or in your personal life with relationships, or setting goals. People forget about the failures along the way before you reach the success. So we don't want to forget it. We want to celebrate it, because that means you're making progress, as long as you get back up and do it again. Now, how long will these videos be? I have no idea. They're going to be as long as it takes to cover the subject. Share what I've learned, ask for help, and do so without boring you. So I'm thinking those will take about 1 to 2 minutes. Just kidding. At least I hope so. But if they're getting long and boring, let me know. And right now I'm using YouTube to publicize them, and that limits it to 10 minutes. So I need to keep moving along. Being impulsive, and I know you'd not recognize it with how I've started this effort, I want to bring to your attention 2 articles I see in the New York Times. One is titled, "China Didn't Check Drug Supplier Files Show." China did not check drug supplier. And it's a story of how a company in China that supplied much of the active ingredient of a blood thinner used here in the U.S. was never certified by Chinese drug regulators to make that product. They never tested to see if they were really conforming to the standards for making an active ingredient of a blood thinner. Why? Well, the company wasn't in that business. They were in some other business. And now, as a result, 4 deaths have occurred here in the U.S. from patients using that product. And I have to think, it's kind of like GM decided to make blood thinner and the FDA here in the U.S. not checking its products, because GM's in the car business, not in the blood thinner business. The second article is "FDA Seeks to Broaden Range of Use of Drugs." That's the title. FDA seeks to broaden range of use of drugs. And essentially, the FDA wants to allow prescription drugs approved for one use to be used for other uses. And those are uses yet to be approved. In fact, they're for uses yet to be even tested by either the FDA or the drug makers themselves. And they're going to do that on the basis of just a hint of benefit for these new and unapproved uses. The article states, "The rules would allow drug and device makers to provide doctors with copies of medical journal articles that discuss product uses that have not been vetted or approved by the FDA. The rules also say that drug companies do not have to promise to adequately test the unapproved use discussed in the article." How about that? So the FDA is not going to check on the use of these drugs. The drug makers don't have to test them. All they have to do is just point to an article written by an independent journal, and they're distributing to doctors, and the doctors can then prescribe it to their unwitting patients who trust them for their advice. The risk for all of this is on the doctors and the patients. You see, Big Pharma can say they never approved the drug for that use. They didn't market it for that use. They just showed some articles. They never recommended it be used like that. The FDA can say the same. So how about that? Which one is worse? China, where companies unapproved to make drugs are making them and causing deaths? Or here in the U.S., where drug companies making approved drugs can then market those same drugs for unapproved use with the endorsement of the agency whose role is to make sure prescriptions are safe for our use? You gotta wonder. Anyway, that's my blog post for this first video blog post. My name is Zane Seyfried. I'm the CEO of Conference Calls Unlimited. Our website is www.conferencecallsunlimited.com. You can read my blog post at zane.typepad.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next week.